Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 457, back on the topic of the NFL. As of about an hour ago, Will Fuller agrees to a one-year deal with the Miami Dolphins worth roughly $10 million. So obviously Miami getting an elite receiver, and that's what Jay and I are going to be talking about today, what that really means for the Dolphins. But before we get into that, question of the day, and that is we want to hear who you guys' favorite Miami Dolphins player is. Again, comment below who your favorite Miami Dolphins player is, and at the end of the video, Jay and I will give you ours. But obviously, Jay, a guy that hasn't gotten a whole lot of success being in Houston. Obviously, he was a very, very good connection with Deshaun Watson, but as far as winning football games, not a whole lot of that going on in Houston for Will Fuller. So he's headed to Miami. What do you think that means for the Dolphins?
Yeah, it almost doesn't matter because of the huge signing of the Buffalo Bills, getting Mitch Trubisky, gonna go ahead and just make a Super Bowl run with him.
MVP.
Basically. But in all realness, this is a really good signing for the Miami Dolphins. However, the biggest thing that comes to my mind is how much it changes their draft pick. I mean, there's a lot of speculation that they're going to take the best receiver in the draft at number 3 overall. The debate's up for who the best receiver is, but it was a thought that they'd take one of the best ones. Either Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts is, of course, out there. But with them addressing their receiving core in free agency, I'm not sure if they're going to take a different angle. To me, now that you have Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, and Mike Gesicki, you either look at Kyle Pitts or you look at trading back in the NFL draft. Either way, even if you do add Jamar Chase, it wouldn't hurt to have 3 stud wideouts on your NFL team. But either way, to me, this is a time now that you've got the receiving core figured out to an extent. I'd be exploring trade options in the NFL draft with a team that needs a quarterback. Maybe the Panthers, maybe the Washington football team, maybe the Bears. A lot of options. But if they don't go that route, this team would love Kyle Pitts, in my opinion. But no matter what they do, looking at Will Fuller's addition and just himself, this is exactly what the Dolphins needed. No matter how it was addressed, a receiver was needed. And Will Fuller, we know he's got crazy speed. And Devontae Parker was alone on his own in that receiving core for wideouts. Of course, there's other names on that team with Albert Wilson, Preston Williams, but those guys are very inconsistent. They get hurt a lot. And Jakeem Grant, I like his backstory, undrafted, made it to at 5'6", made it to the NFL, and he does okay at the receiving position, but he needs to stick with staying on special teams and being a very good punt returner, kick returner, and get him to stay on that side of the football where he is receiving it as a special teams player. I don't like him in the receiving core, and now that Will Fuller's there, they have a lot of options to explore.
Yeah, this completely breaks my heart as a Texans fan. Holding on to hope that he was going to come back, but obviously for his career, it's best that he leaves. So I think this is huge for Miami. Will Fuller, one of the better deep ball threats in the game. I mean, you mentioned his speed. He runs a 4.33 40. The guy can get past the secondary. That's just really what he does at a level, or that's why he's in the NFL. He drafted 2016, I think, out of Notre Dame. He, like you said, ran a 4.33 40. The guy can run, and he's got good hands on the Texans. He was a number 2 guy to DeAndre Hopkins, and then I do believe when he was playing this year, he was the best receiver they had. Obviously, dealing with a suspension at the end of this year for substance abuse. I think he got 5 games out of the way this year, and he's got to carry over one of them into next season. So he will be dealing with the suspension. But yes, you mentioned Miami's receiving core and what they do with the draft. That is an interesting point. But with their receiving core right now, Devontae Parker, yes, is good, but they needed a deep ball threat that, like you said, was not Jakeem Grant at 5'6". Will Fuller at I think he's 6 foot, 170 something pounds. Not a big guy, but he can definitely go up and catch the football. We've seen him tear apart defensive secondaries with the Houston Texans, and I think that his speed and just diversifying who Tua has to throw the ball to certainly helps the Dolphins out. Now, does Tua? I don't know. I've heard skepticism about Tua's arm strength. Does Tua have the arm strength to get the ball down the field to where Fuller will be? We'll have to see. But Will Fuller will definitely help this Miami offense by just giving them better receiving core.
Yeah, and really a great job by the Miami Dolphins in settling the fair price. I believe it was right over $10 million. And that might sound expensive in some eyes, but really if you look around the NFL, in the free agent market this current offseason, the Jets gave Corey Davis $13 million a year. The Patriots gave Nelson Aguilar $13 million a year. Comparing those receivers and Will Fuller making right around $10 million a year, say just to go conservative, he made $11 million. I think Will Fuller is probably the best guy of those 3, at least the most proven. So the Dolphins really got a lot of value there. Maybe the price was reduced slightly because he's going to have one less game due to the suspension, but I don't really know how they worked out the price tag. But overall, the Miami Dolphins have executed in figuring out the best value for them. I know there was word out there for Kenny Golladay, but he's going to be probably, if Corey Davis is getting 13 and Aguilar is getting 13, Kenny Golladay could be getting 14, 15 plus. So I think Will Fuller, best value you could get one of the best receivers you could get and probably one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL at the number 2 spot. I know Terry McLaurin is an underrated receiver, and Will Fuller, I think, is right around that bracket that just doesn't get talked about enough, and this is really going to take the Miami Dolphins to the next level. I was concerned for the Dolphins if they were going to be able to keep up with how good the Patriots are doing in free agency. I really thought the Patriots got an edge on them in this offseason, but with the Dolphins, prioritizing the most needed spot they had in the receiving core and addressing it right away and still having so much draft capital, I'm not too worried, and I think they have a lot to go in this offseason.
Yeah, it does kind of change what I said about what we can expect from the AFC East this year. I did kind of rule out the Jets and the Dolphins for winning it, but of course, adding Fuller to the roster addresses a big issue, like Jay said. Plus, you got so much potential in the draft, so that could change. But again, as far as Will Fuller, we mentioned the upsides, the speed, the ability to get past the secondary. And then as far as downsides, I don't know what this first time he's ever gotten in trouble as far as substance abuse. I don't know if this continues. Hopefully not. Obviously, a relatively minor punishment of only 6 games. I think it could have been a lot worse. So hopefully he can keep it together off the field. And then as far as his physical size, he's not a guy that's going to Megatron get up over top of someone and catch the football. But I have been impressed by the way, even at only 6 foot, and I say that because relative to the league, that's probably just about average. He can get up over people and catch the football, so I don't think there's really any big weaknesses in his game. His ability to get open is insane. So you get him the football, you get yards, you get catches, all that.
Yeah, and no matter how much we praise Will Fuller and how well the Dolphins are executing this offseason, prior to free agency, they made a good trade with the Titans, getting a solid left tackle that had some off-the-field issues, but has a lot of potential. Maybe they could fix him up. Overall, their offseason is great, and like I said, the draft, I think, will be great. You got 2 first-round picks. You assume they'll hit a home run on one of them, but overall, no matter how well the Dolphins do around the quarterback position, everything lies on the quarterback position. How far can Tua Tagovailoa take them? And same thing as I just compared to the Patriots, how far can Cam Newton take them? And no matter how well you do around your team, if the leader of your team at quarterback is not great, you can only get so far. And really, right now, I think Tua is more of a game manager, but he's only had so much tape. He's only played so many games, and he had Ryan Fitzpatrick to babysit him, and they have Jacoby Brissett coming in now. I'm really curious to see how he will do, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins are looking at trade options, maybe for Deshaun Watson. But outside of that, I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to rely on Tua, which isn't a bad move, but I'm really curious how it will pan out in the long run.
For sure. Guys, again, Will Fuller to the Dolphins, 1 year, roughly $10 million. Tell us what you think about that in the comments. But as far as the question today, Jay, who's your favorite Dolphins player?
Mike Wallace played most of his career in Pittsburgh and bounced around a lot, but when I first started watching football, Mike Wallace was number 11 on the Miami Dolphins. That was my favorite number, and he was really good for them, probably the number 1 receiver, so I'm going to go with him when he played with Miami.
My favorite Dolphins player has only been on the team for about 45 minutes, and that is going to be Will Fuller. That is my favorite Dolphins player. Guys, thanks for watching. 2-Minute Warning.